Hi, my name's Luke. Welcome out to PhotoBite, and today we're looking at the Nikon Z6 Mark II, and we're going to find out if Nikon has been holding some punches back. So back in 2018, Nikon came out with the Z6 and Z7, and we were pretty impressed with what they were able to do. They were very capable, they were very measured, and they weren't really pushing the boundaries per se, apart from going with just an XQD card slot, also known as a C-Fast card slot. Now, what they have done this time around is they brought the SD card back, but there's more. But first of all, let's get into some of the similarities between the two of them. So body-wise, the two of them look exactly the same. Nikon basically said they're running off the exact same body. Obviously on the outside, we do see a Z6 Mark II. So we know that this is obviously the second gen model, but otherwise from a first-hand look, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Looking on the inside of the card slot, you can see that they have opted to include an SD card slot. This was highly requested amongst the Nikon community because, well, an SD card, everyone has one. XCD cards are expensive and not everyone has the ability to buy them. Now, last time we reviewed the Nikon cameras, we were really impressed with them. In fact, to be honest with you, they're still quite impressive. You're looking at a 24 megapixel sensor. In terms of the ISO rating, that has stayed the same. Body, as I mentioned, stayed the same. They've now included an SD card slot. But there are a few changes. So now this is sitting with two X-Speed 6 processors. And what this is meaning from Nikon is the fact that we have more reliable autofocus and it can do it in lower light conditions. This can go down to -6 EV with an f2 lens, which is extremely impressive, given that this model here was about -4, 3.5, depending on the lens that you used. So just by switching over to a extra processor, it really has gone to show that Nikon can go a bit further with their capabilities within the Z6 Mark II. And of course, the sort of settings we're talking about will also be in the Z7 as well. Mark II, I might add. If I say, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a confusing video. I'm going to try and make sure I say Mark II, Mark II, Mark II. Back to the video. Some other improvements that we have seen out of the Nikon is you're going from 12 frames a second all the way up to 14 frames a second, which is fantastic because this really adds to the sportiness of this, and also with the fast autofocus, we think sports photographers are going to really enjoy this as well as wildlife photographers. It also has animal eye tracking as well as human eye tracking, so when it comes to trying to keep an eye on those animals out there when you're going out and shooting, you've now got a more reliable system. Thank you, Nikon. Now, moving over to the video side of things, this is where we kind of see Nikon holding some punches. Now, in a new firmware, we will state that we will be getting 4K 60p. We are still waiting to get that confirmed if it will be full frame recording at 60p, but I have to fly and he needs to go away. Anyway, but this is where Nikon may be holding some punches. Now, in terms of 1080p recording, we can now go up to 120 frames a second. Would have been nice to see 180, maybe even 240 with a slight crop. This is where it's kind of getting a bit frustrating. In terms of 4K, it can go up to 60 frames a second after the new firmware update. And this new firmware update, you will be able to do it with the Nikon app on your mobile phone. That is restricted to the Z6 II and Z7 II. You cannot do it with any other camera. This is just going to be the Z6 Mark II and the Z7 Mark II. So do bear that in mind. If you are looking at the Z6 and you want to be able to upgrade firmware via your phone, you still have to go through the website, download it, put it into a memory card, and then put it into your camera. I know, long-winded. It's a long-winded process, but, you know, if you want to get that mobile action, then you got to upgrade to something a bit faster. So I would have handed this camera off over to Rob and Josh to test the video, but it really isn't groundbreaking. In fact, it's not that much different from the last gen, although arguably there are a few changes. So there will be a firmware coming out for the Z6 Mark II in the coming months where you'll get access to 4K at 60 frames a second and you'll get 1080p at 120, which is great. But they have two processors in there, but you can only shoot 8-bit internal, 10-bit external, and there is no N-Log format internal. Huh? You have two processors, a C-Fast card, you can do 10-bit internal, and you can do it with a log. Why are you not doing it? This is the bit where Nikon is holding back their punches, because this would make this Nikon Z6 Mark II a formidable camera. They could be the next bestseller, but no, they've decided that they are not going to put in pro features into what is basically a pro body. Very frustrating. In terms of the body itself, it is really comfortable. But there's also this little feature here, which is what we call the faux grip, and it's by STC. And it just gives you that little bit of extra grip, access to the battery, and also a tripod mount. Now, the body itself of the Nikon's very good and nice deep grip, but for you guys with bigger hands and gals with bigger hands, this is just going to give you that little bit extra to grab onto it, and it just kind of makes that leveraging feel a little less annoying. And if you don't want it or you don't need to use it, you just pop that bit and you just fold it away. And it's gone. Easy peasy. So I've actually used the track features on the Z6 Mark II when I was out with my friend Harrison. We were just doing a little shoot, and it really does perform really well. It locks onto the face, if it can, it'll lock onto the eye, and it holds it. Now, there were some times when it wouldn't see him because I was shooting with some foreground, and it didn't like that. So that is something to bear in mind. If you're direct with your subject, it'll be fine. If it's something in the foreground, it's going to try and hiccup a little bit. But, you know, it's a computer trying to figure out what's human and what's not. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but it did handle extremely well. Do excuse the weird camera angles. I forgot my tripod.
You forgot your tripod.
I did forget it, swears. But yeah, this is the STC grip. So what it does is it actually extends the grip that you have. You can also get it for Sony, and when you want to pop it away, just fold it and it clips in like so. And you've still got your tripod mount available to you. But let's get back to shooting before Harrison freezes.
Oh.
Right.
You're not injured, are you?
No, I'm fine. What's also great is the fact that they have two processors. They can now do battery management much better, so now you're getting much better battery performance. I would give you the numbers that they're giving, but they do vary, and in my case I got a little less. But that probably didn't help the fact that I was in the cold, so temperatures will also affect the battery number as well. But overall, the battery is really good. It's still running on the EN-EL15. There is also a C version, so that allows you to run a USB-C port into the side of the camera, and you can charge it directly in camera. Now, I did try and do this before, but for some reason it didn't like me charging it. I tried a number of different outlets, and it still wasn't happy. So you do have to make sure that you are meeting the specification required to charge a battery. Otherwise, it will not work. Not even a slow charge. Nada. So, should you be buying the Z6 Mark II? Well, if you're into wildlife, maybe portraiture and sport photography, this is one for deep consideration. It is really, really good. And because of the new processor, it works really well and is super accurate. Now, if you're looking at it from a video standpoint, honestly, if I don't hand it to Rob and Josh, then that's me saying don't bother. Nikon have been holding back punches on it. They could be fighting with Canon, Sony, and Lumix, but they're obviously deciding not to, which is a bit frustrating because it's such a capable camera. And it would really move people away from the Sony Alpha 7 III to something a little different with some really good glass. But nonetheless, that is what Nikon has chosen to do. So they're looking to try and stay as a photo camera, and they do a very good job in that department. Just a bit lackluster when you're looking at the video. So that'll be our review for the Nikon Z6 Mark II. Any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, my name's Luke, this is Photobyte, and we'll see you next time.